This is I Am There from James Dillett Freeman. Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, yet I am the light you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, but I am the power at work in your hands. I am at work, though you do not understand my ways. I am at work, though you do not recognize my work. I am not strange visions. I am not mysteries, but only in the absolute stillness, beyond self, can you know me as I am, and then but perhaps only as a feeling. Yet I am there, yet I hear, yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even if you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your fears, I am there. Even in your pain, I am there. I am there when you pray and when you do not pray. I am in you and you are in me. I am assurance. I am peace. I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by, and I'm the love that you can cling to. I am assurance. I am your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you may fail to find me, I do not fail you. Through your faith in me is unsure. My faith in you never wavers, because I know you, because I love you. Beloved, I am there.
Introduction, and thank you all for those online that are here. We really appreciate your presence. And it's the time of year, isn't it, when everybody's talking about Christmas and planning Christmas and trips to visit family and friends, and who we're going to see on what days, and that in itself can be quite challenging for some of us. We all of us have experiences in life, experiences sometimes with our families, which often provoke lots of discomfort, lots of challenge, lots of joyful experiences and memories too. But it's certainly the time of year where we're thinking about how can we participate in this experience of Christmas in a way that does honor what really it is about, connection and love and belonging and that sense of being part of something bigger than us. And so often we can lose the message of Christmas because in the run up to, in the exploration of Christmas, sometimes it can feel very challenging. And many years ago, I want to just start by recounting a story many years ago when I was living away from my parents and was on the train back to home really for Christmas, and had mixed feelings about the experience. I was kind of wanting to stay at home in the home that I was living, and was in this kind of place of conflict within myself in terms of I'm going to go home, but part of me wants to be home in my home, and there was that inner conflict. And many years ago, when I first came into this 3 years ago, as many people would say to me, "Oh, we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same in the eyes of God. We're all the same in the eyes of Spirit." And that made no sense to me. Made no sense whatsoever, because my physical eyes were telling me how very different we all were. Nobody looked the same. Nobody sounded the same. Certainly nobody in my world behaved the same, to each other. We were all very, very different. And so when I would stand in church and people would say, "We're all the same," it made no sense. So here I am sat on the train heading back home for Christmas. And I was sat being as antisocial as I can be when I'm not being sociable like this. I like to be kind of in my own little world and often withdraw from the world. I jokingly have a social battery that's very, very small, So when the power drains, you don't really get a very good version of Darren, but you get Darren, just there, but not there. So on the train, on my way back, I was thinking about where I was going and, kind of hopefully what the weekend was going to be like. And hopefully it would be a joyful experience for everybody. We'd all be fine and happy and it would be wonderful. And as I kind of closed my eyes on the train and was in those thoughts and was just allowing those thoughts to circulate, I was aware that in the darkness of my vision, there was a light that just appeared. Just in the darkness of my eyelids almost, a light appeared. And I kind of rubbed my eye and it was still there. And then another light appeared and another light appeared. And within the space of what felt like 2 or 3 minutes, the whole darkness of my vision was filled with pinpricks of light. And I just assumed, I'm having a bit of a migraine. I'm having, being dramatic, a bit of a seizure, Something is going on here, which is not good. And yet, when I opened my eyes, the light that I was perceiving mirrored and matched exactly where people were sat on the train in the carriage in front of me. And in the space of that awareness, in the space of that experience, it became very evident to me that everybody's light was equal. That yes, we physically looked different. I'm sure we all sounded different. We were certainly, dressed differently. But in essence, the light that we all carried was no different to the light of each other. And so that recognition, that realization that kind of bubbled up within me is, oh my goodness, this is what people mean when they say we're all the same. We're all connected. We're all the same. The reality of that became really tangible to me in that moment. And so as that realization and revelation was starting to percolate, really, and the train came to a stop, and it was picking up new passengers before we kind of head up onto my onward journey. And a couple came on the train, and they kind of gestured whether they could sit next to me on the carriage, in the four-seater. And being antisocial, as I sometimes am, I smiled, but then put my headphones back on and closed my eyes really quickly, not wanting to engage. I'm like, I'm sitting in my awareness of this wonderful revelation, but don't talk to me. I'm good. So as I sat there, I gestured and said, that's absolutely fine. And I could hear vaguely through my noise of my headphones that the wife was saying to the gentleman, can you go to the buffet car and just get us a drink? Can you get us a coffee? And so off he went, dutifully. The train carried on, and I went back into my antisocial world and was just quite happy to be there. And he came back a couple of minutes without coffee. But what he did have in his hand was a roll of £50 notes. And she said, well, what's the problem? Why is there no coffee? And he said, they couldn't change this, because all he had was £50 notes and a bundle of them, but it was too greater for the buffet car to handle. So they said, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So he came back, and there was a part of me that felt a little smug, that isn't that strange that he has all that money and can't afford to buy a cup of coffee. That was really interesting. And I just thought that's quite interesting, that we believe that we have all this money, everything's available to us, everything is mine, everything I can achieve. Not in this case, not on British Rail. It did not apply. So as I went into this awareness once more, I heard the Spirit will say very clearly, now that you have the experience of equality, that we're all the same, what is stopping you offering your brother and your sister a coffee? What is stopping you utilizing your money from that place of connectedness and equality? What is stopping you offering to buy them a coffee? And my immediate human reaction was, no, it's mine. It's my money. That's it. No, it's my £10. I don't want to give that away. That's mine. And then I realized that all of these experiences of recognition of equality, we have to do something with them. That once we recognize that there is that sense of equality, that there is no less than, more than, then what do we do with that? And I was blessed to have received that wonderful experience of we're all the same. And so I reached into my pocket and I said to the couple, put my headphones up, and I said, I've noticed you weren't able to buy a coffee. Can I help? Can I offer to buy you a coffee? And they were very gracious. And no, I'm fine. No, we're good, but thank you anyway. It's all okay. Fine, we're okay. And I felt quite irritated. I felt quite annoyed. But then I thought, maybe they don't have that same understanding. Maybe they don't have that same recognition of equality that I have just been blessed to receive. So I have to honor that. But I was sat feeling irritated. And so as I got off the train, when I got to my stop, I was curious. Why am I so irritated by it? Why am I so bothered by that? Why did the rejection of kindness seem to harm me in some way? And the realization was that in life, the flower doesn't give out its scent and choose who smells it, nor does it stop giving out its scent if you don't like the smell. There was something very much in that recognition of equality that I had experienced, that once we operate from that place, when we choose to see equality in the world, what do we then do to demonstrate that? What do we do to inspire people, others, to start to experience that as well. Equality harms no one. Let's just sit with that thought. Equality harms no one. And so we're sitting in a world right now with division. We're sitting in our homes with division. We're sitting in ourselves with division, opposing parts, fighting, pleading, begging, wanting, needing, demanding in some cases, and engaging in all manner of unloving behaviours to do so. So when we recognise that equality harms no one, why are we harming? Because as spiritual beings, as we all sit here in this physical space and those in the virtual world right now, and many other places and people around the world who operate and try to operate from a place of equality harms no one. Why are people being harmed? Why are people feeling harm? Each one of us in this room, in this service right now, has an absolute responsibility as a spiritual being to see beyond separateness, to see beyond difference, to move into a state of acceptance, to move into a state of lovingness towards one another. And so to answer Sharon's question, why do I come here? And I can feel this. Because here there is connection. Because here there is community. Because what we witnessed in the last 3 days was support, kindness, equality. Nobody was harmed. And so when we can find that place within ourselves to see beyond difference and division, our world feels better. Even if it's the world within ourselves, even if it's the world within our home, we will feel better. We will live better. We will do better. As a spiritual being having a human experience, we all have a responsibility to do better, not just for ourselves, but for the future generations, for the future people, for the future churches and centres. We all have to be the thing that we want to experience. And so we can sit and pray and we can sit and send healing, which are wonderful, powerful things, but let's be them instead. Let's not sit and pray for peace while slapping the dog for not sitting down. Let's not want for togetherness while creating rumours that circulate and divide people. Let us be the thing that we want the world to be, and maybe then we'll start to see it. Thank you for listening.